Now, members of the theatre and dance sector have staged a silent protest at Luthuli House today to get the attention of President Cyril Ramaphosa about their plight. The industry is calling for the sector to be reopened. I'm joined now by the CEO of Moving Into Dance, Nadia Virasamy. A very good afternoon to you, Ms. Virasamy. Talk to us about why Luthuli House and why that was the place that was chosen for the silent protest today.
Thank you so much for having me. I think just on a broader scale, the arts industry, specifically dance and theatre, is absolutely frustrated with the silence from the Minister of Arts and Culture. And we feel that he has not adequately addressed our concerns, despite several attempts to grasp his attention. Having started off from the whole debacle at the National Arts Council with the PES funding. And we feel that the President really needs to hear what we have to say, because we have no further recourse. We have run out of options, and our artists are starving. We're desperate for work. A lot of us are reliant on live performance, and one of our biggest issues at the moment is that we have productions in theatres that seat 500 to 1,000 people, and all we can fit in there is 50 audience members, which is ridiculous. So that's essentially where we are at the moment.
So talk to us about the global impact for performers, specifically theatrical performers, and even for theatre houses themselves. Are there any that have had to close down because just of a lack of numbers, not because people don't want to come, but because the regulations are prohibitive?
So, it is through audience that we generate our income. A lot of arts entities are not-for-profit organizations, and a lot of the funding that would have come into the arts over the last 2 years, owing to COVID, has gone into assisting the country with COVID relief. The arts sector was one of the last sectors to be considered for relief in COVID funding, and I'm sure it is no secret what has happened at the National Arts Council with the disbursement of funding, where we were promised in the region of about 25,000 Rand in salary relief per dancer, and that was dropped for 3 months, and that was dropped to just a little over 10,000. So there's that, the relief funding that, just hasn't really delivered in terms of creating work and regenerating the sector. But also, it doesn't help that for the longest time the theatres weren't open at all, and now that they are open, we're only allowed 50 people, in terms of audience. And much of the income that a lot of the organizations generate are from international tours and performances. And, a lot of other countries have theatres, international theatres, have cancelled performances, have cancelled, tours. So that, that's left us in quite a predicament. And so we're struggling for work. We're barely managing to make, to fit our wage bills. And we're surrounded by so many arts organizations that have shut down. And the industry is made up of predominantly freelance workers. So, if those organizations that do employ full-time staff cannot sustain our own full-time staff, I mean, we can't provide work for the freelancers, such as the lighting and the stage technicians and the costume designers, etc. So there's a whole, it's a whole lot of people that fit into this, that make our industry function.
The entire value chain. Are you calling?
Yeah, exactly, value chain.
Are you calling for a complete reopening of theatre spaces or a partial reopening? What exactly are your demands, and what would you need immediately from the President?
Uh, Definitely not a complete reopening, but all we want is for the president to reconsider the number of 50 people in a theatre. I mean, we are fully aware of COVID protocol and we will fully abide by it. We want him to be able to open theatres safely. We basically want him to increase the audience numbers in relation to the total capacity of the theatres. That will still allow for social distancing, for safe COVID protocol. And, perhaps he could instruct DSAC to engage with the sector, on how we could move forward with this. But right now, I mean, the 50 capacity across the board does not work for the arts sector.
Did you manage to hand over a memorandum of requests today?
Yes, we did. Gregory Makoma of Fuyani Dance Theatre has handed over a memorandum, and our demands were very simple. We had 5 very basic demands. The first one was we would like for the Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Nadia Virasamy, to be removed from office. Secondly, we would like for a reshuffle and, to redeploy some of the key personnel at DSAC. We would like for the increase of audience numbers in relation to the total capacity of theatres that will allow us to social distance safely, practice protocol, COVID safety protocol. We would like for the President to acknowledge our contribution to the economy and the importance, and our importance to this country. The creative cultural industries contributes about 63 billion rand to GDP, and that's not a small number. And finally, we would like for the President to bring closure and definitive answers to the PES funding crisis that has transpired to the National Arts Council.
Ms. Nadia Virasamy, thank you very much for talking to us today, shining the spotlight on the plight of those involved in the theatre industries and a list of demands handed through today, 5 demands that they've handed over, including an increase in the number of people who can actually attend theatrical productions.